Right, okay. This is a bit different. Okay, interesting. So, I am actually trying out... Oh, hello, there I am. Where's everything else? Okay, yeah, this is a bit different. So I'm trying out the new version of... Well, new version, it's a forked version of OBS, which is the broadcasting program I use. There's my green screen. Positioned to the side of me, just like all professionals do. So I thought I'd give that a spin, and it radically changes. As soon as I hit the go live button, it radically changed the arrangement of the windows, so I can't actually really see what I'm doing anymore. So really, although it's got the chat on the side quite prominently here actually. Excuse me scratching my nose. This is very, very different. So I guess this is probably more designed for someone who is... I don't even think I can show this. What? Oh, it's on recent events. If I click live, no, it doesn't let me go full screen. Ah, unless I can do this. No. Ah, if I go to edit, there we go. So I can get back into my usual display. Okay, that's interesting. Well, we've got one viewer by the looks of it. Hello, viewer. Yeah, so it's got a load of features, this thing, that I'm not too sure if I want to use. For example, there's this jar thing there that when certain actions are triggered, it drops a thing in. I don't think I'm going to use any of this. I'm just curious as to what it offers me. It seems like they've worked a lot on the GUI quite a bit. I've got 2 viewers now. Hello, second viewer. It seems like they've worked a lot on the GUI, so this might work out for me. I don't know. I mean, that jar is a bit of a pain. I'll shift that out of the way, but it does silly animations and stuff. And when people subscribe, like different things will play. It's strange. I've got 1 new subscriber this evening. That's quite good. And 1 comment on my channel, which is quite good. So yeah, I decided I was going to do a live rant, because this sort of thing, if I do a pre-made video, I probably won't ever actually upload it. But I don't really watch the news anymore. I stopped watching it last year. I'm just going to check if I've actually got any sound, which I do have sound, which is quite useful. I'm wearing my grey jumper again, which is a jumper that I think I've worn several times on this channel. I'm sort of leaning back quite slouched. There's my green screen. Everything going... Oh, look, now that's actually moved a bit off the bottom as well there, has it? Yeah, it has. Ah. Okay. Excuse me while I adjust my chat box. It's quite interesting, this OBS, because when you load it in, I'm not going to be doing any games planned tonight. I'm just going to be ranting, and messing around with things on the screen. I'm probably going to do another stream tomorrow, which will be, I don't know, like a quizzy one or something. Right, so that's got it's got quite annoying glue there, so I'm trying to just move this box here just so it just touches the side and it's snapping straight past it and going off the screen, as you can probably just about tell, I think. So can I zoom that to... I don't think I can zoom that up at all. Maybe I can. Oh, it's so annoying. It's just, I don't know why what it's justifying to. It's quite a different experience, this version of OBS, and it's a beta, and they've got a lot to fix in the GUI just to get the numbers right, I think. I don't actually want to stretch that. No, it just won't do it. It won't do it. Oh no, there we go. It's just snapped on, but the height is wrong, so I don't know why the height would be wrong, because in theory it should be dead on. It's just a few pixels short. 720 high this screen, so yeah, there's some really weird graphics corruption they need to sort out. Unless it's defaulted to 7. Not impossible, I'm pushing out the wrong resolution here, so let's have a quick look at that and then I'll get onto my rant. Oh, there's some really bad screen corruption I need to sort out. Oh my goodness. That is at 50 frames per second it flickers between drawing a window and showing my Firefox screen behind, and it just flickers between one and the other, but there's like a kind of square here. If I slump over and start fitting, then you'll know what's happened. Okay. So yeah, it's at 720. Yeah, there's definitely a few things they need to work on this with the screen drawing routine, which is fairly boring, but you know, it's called Amiga Rob, not super fast. Oh, hang on, can I actually chat in this box? Create a channel. Create a channel to join the chat. So it's got a chat box. In theory, I can write in here, but I don't think I am going to be able to write into it. So yes, I'm going to have a little rant about what's happened to Maplin, and if my two viewers who are out there are not familiar with Maplin, it is a technology, a pretty good technology store that's been around for a good many years. Probably one of the last high street technology retailers outside of the stores that tend to be, you know, because Curry's and Dixon's has gone, and Curry's and all that sort of thing, PC World, and now not really high street, they're mainly big out store places, although there is in Nottingham where I live, there is a high street Curry / PC World. But Maplin served quite a decent niche, in my opinion. They've got a wide range of stock, and I mean, I guess the nearest competitor was Tandy when they were around, which in America was Radio Shack, though I think they branded some stuff as Tandy. And Maplin is quite a good shop, actually. There's a couple of things they would sort of get wrong, and I think it wasn't clever of them to do. But generally speaking, they still are around at the minute, and I mean, they are showing closing down signs everywhere, which I find very, very strange. But it's not impossible that they might come through. But they had a good range of stock. Very good range of stock, good, fairly competitive pricing. They did have some kind of price match guarantee. I'd never used it. If I'd been more aware of it, I probably would have used it. I don't know if they matched online or whatever, but they had a pretty good range of stock, pretty good. For example, if you wanted a couple of times I've needed an external hard disk in a hurry because I've had disks failing. Or a problem where I've needed to mirror a disk really quickly, and I've just been able to nip in there. I've picked up the last two drives I picked up of them were 4 terabyte drives, both the same, just out of arm's reach here for me. And the pricing wasn't too bad, and there'd often be a deal where you can get a few quid off. So compared to like Amazon, the pricing wasn't too bad on external drives. Internal drives a little bit more pricey. Then things like components. I mean, it's the last place on the high street where you can get hold of components. From now on, you'll have to order them from abroad, I guess, or sorry, not from abroad, from online or something. But it's one of those last places where you can pick something up and have a good look at it and say, well, is this what I want? For connectors at Hobbyists, they have a fantastic range really. Again, one of the last hobby shops there are really, with components and connectors of every type you'd want. And I think they actually do a fairly brisk trade on those things. And you'd think in this day and age where modding and all that kind of stuff is now becoming very popular, you'd expect that they would be really doing well in that market. And I think they have been doing all right. Now they do have areas where they massively overcharge, and that's mainly cables. And I think that's because they were the last bread and butter electric component cable shop on the high street, more or less, and they basically they take your eyes out basically for those. If you want an HDMI cable, well, let me get this straight. If you wanted to walk into the shop and buy an HDMI cable or a DVI cable or something like that, you know, the prices are ridiculous, you know, upwards of £50 for a 4-meter DVI cable. And you know, they've got all kinds of specialist cables that you shouldn't really need, but you know, you find yourself hooking stuff together and they're always overpriced. And I'd noticed, I go into the Watford branch quite a lot, and I noticed that they, I was in there a couple of weeks ago, and I'd noticed that there were a lot of things that they used to sort of overcharge a bit on, like some PCI, or some, I say PCI, whatever the card standard is at the minute on PCs. I don't know. I guess it's PCI X or whatever it's called. They were charging PCIe, I think it is. They were all of a sudden charging like £4.95 for legacy IDE PCI adapters. They had a load of legacy stuff, and I thought, oh good, they're shifting out some old stock. That makes sense rather than hanging on to it, have it hog up the shelves. Stores are always well presented. They're very well marketed internally, apart from those few pricing issues, which I'm guessing they worked out it made sense. I'm not sure if it's good for goodwill. They had Raspberry Pis there for, or the correct word in Greece would be Raspberry Pi. They have quite a lot stock and stuff there, a little bit above what you'd expect to pay on Amazon, but again, you get to see it, put it in your hand, have a look at the quality, and their components are generally good quality, their connectors are good quality, everything about that shop is good. It's now, I had a problem when Woolworths went, and a few other stores went, but Woolworths had a problem with, because I thought there was an effort to make it a bit dingy. I thought similar with BHS actually. I thought BHS was a going concern. I didn't think there was a problem there. Woolworths, a lot of people didn't know that Woolworths actually had Woolworths, the shop, the retail shop was a business which I think could have worked. And one of the reasons you can tell it could have worked is because Wilkinson's is in exactly the same marketplace, and it is working. They're a bit sharper, they're a bit smarter, but they were, you know, it wouldn't have required much to get Woolworths working. But what people don't realise is that Woolworths was not just Woolworths. Woolworths was part of another company whose name I've completely forgotten, but they Woolworths, part of their group, had all of the DVD and CD distribution for the UK. They were the main major distributor for all CDs. So all the CDs that Amazon were obtaining, all of the CDs that all of the remaining high street stores, HMV, all the rest, the distribution was actually managed by one of Woolworths company. And I know this for a fact. So when Woolworths went, that all went. And the major problem I had with that situation was it was a situation where they said, well, you know, the MP3s have really hurt the industry, and you know, we can't keep up, and Woolworths is not functioning, and it's gone. Well, the problem I had with that is that at the time, Woolworths in that company, Woolworths was carrying billions in stock, absolutely billions in stock, And you know, a lot of that stuff probably should have been returned to the suppliers, or it should have gone to a proper new distributor that could have repaid the suppliers in full, because at the end of the day those suppliers would probably never have got paid for what they supplied. And I think Woolworths went just before Christmas, I could be wrong, it might have been just after, but I think it was just before. So just as they'd taken on all the stock, and we're talking billions of pounds of DVDs, well, maybe not billions, but hundreds of millions of pounds worth of DVDs, that company went, which would have made life very hard for a lot of labels. And I know particularly because it just so happened that my one ever release that I did through my own company was coming out at that Christmas. It was before the Christmas, so I abandoned my plans to try and get distribution with those guys. Entertainment UK they were called, Entertainment UK. I abandoned my attempt to get distribution with those guys, and I ended up going direct to Amazon and a few independent shops, and it hurt me in the pocket majorly because I sold nowhere near as many as I would have if it had been my title never appeared on a national catalogue, and I just about made back what I'd laid out on the thing. So thank you for the like there. I can see I got a like, it's brilliant. So I am deeply suspicious whenever a company goes down like this, because if you're holding thousands of millions of pounds in stock, and your company goes, all of a sudden you say, well, we can't meet our outgoings, so we're going to have to go. Now, if it's before Christmas, you know something's wrong, because Christmas is when you're going to sell a huge amount. So if you've done it before Christmas, my suspicion would be, and I could be wrong, that somebody who does that is trying to do it because they're trying to get as much stock in as they can, so that when the company goes to administration, they can then attempt to do a management buyout and then seize that stock without paying the full value for the stock. You're paying pence in the pound. And that's sort of what happened with Woolworths. There was as I understand it, that stock ended up sort of getting recycled, and I think some of the directors that were at the other company came across, and yeah, it was a very I don't like that situation. I think something's wrong about that, and we've had subsequently a few companies that have gone just after Christmas, and this is where I've got a problem with this Maplin thing, because when they go just after Christmas, we've got a different scenario, because the kind of stock that Maplin carries is not the kind of stock that you can easily warehouse. The stuff that Woolworths and Entertainment UK had in DVDs and CDs is largely very easy to store. The system they had at Entertainment UK, which I'm guessing is still in operation, was all fully implemented in the years before, immediately before. They had one of the best technology systems possible. The stock would come in hugely automated. Machines would come, pick when orders were coming in, they'd pick them up, pack everything automatically. There was very little need for any human intervention. In a shop like Maplin that carries, a very wide range of stock, it's very difficult to automate all of that. So you need to have humans in the stock room, and when you send it out, it's harder to package it up again and send it elsewhere and warehouse it. You're warehousing on racks with you can't automate the whole thing. So and it's similar with a lot of clothing lines and all the rest of it. So with a company like Maplin, my suspicion is, and this is not an allegation, it's just a suspicion, that what you're looking at is a company that did a good Christmas, didn't do a bad Christmas. I should say one other thing. Maplin had a bit of a dodgy spell about 3 or 4 years ago, and they'd seemed to have pulled through it. They got new owners, but I hadn't been aware that the new owners had capitalised their purchase by mortgaging the company they were buying, which is an absolutely scandalous thing, and it should not be allowed. Shouldn't be allowed. it should be criminal, but it's not the first time it's happened. Probably one of the most famous times it's happened is with Manchester United Football Club, who were one of the few clubs, along with Arsenal, probably on this planet, that were actually operating in a profit. Were completely capitalised out of their own activities, footballing activities, sponsorship activities, and all the rest of it. And they had people come and buy them, and they leveraged the purchase by immediately mortgaging, or they bought it. They bought it by arranging a mortgage on the club with the bank. So this is like buying a mortgaged house. It's ridiculous. So you go in and you say, well, I want to buy this football club, or I want to buy Maplin's, and I'm going to buy this going concern by borrowing from the bank to the tune of this amount of money, and I will finance the borrowing out of the earnings from the company. Now, I can't see how a long-established company that has a long line of creditors that it takes on every year, because the routine would probably be that you get the stock in before Christmas, and the payment is due after Christmas, which would be an understandable that's understandable way of doing business in well, certainly in UK retail trade. You're extended a line of credit so that you can actually sell the products, get the cash in to pay your suppliers. So what we're looking at here is a company that would have taken a lot of high value goods, some low value, but mostly high value goods, medium to high value goods. Okay, medium value goods, a lot of them with some high value. So most of their products are probably priced. The bulk of their sales are probably priced between £20 to £150, and then there's a few products like projectors, some computing components which will be a little bit more than that, like the security cameras go up to around £300–400. So yeah, they've come in. They've done their Christmas period. They've done all their sales. They've got the money in their hand. Now what they're doing is saying, well, actually, we can't afford to pay our suppliers. We can't meet the cost of the building of the business. We can't pay our rent. Excuse me, scratching my nose. It's terrible, itchy. We can't pay our rent. We can't pay the mortgages where they need to be paid, and we can't meet the cost of the loans that we've taken out. That's the position we're in. So we're in trouble, and now they're calling in administrators. So they've taken the money for Christmas, and where has it gone? Now, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a Maplin that's not doing any trade. They are usually doing some trade, and the thing about Maplin is that they've got a few like highly prominent locations, but they're often quite canny about where they place their stores. They sort of will place them somewhere a little bit off the main drag sometimes, somewhere where they're getting a little bit of better value on the rents. And I know I'm pretty sure a few locations I know the rents. I sort of know the rents, and they're quite low. So I have very little doubt that although look at my hair going all over the place. I have little doubt that Maplin is a going concern. Not only that, a lot of their products have a very high markup, so they can afford to cut their prices and seriously do a promotion push to get some cash in to meet their immediate costs. We're not talking about a company that has been borrowing capital to expand or anything like that, or a company that's borrowed capital to enhance the business with any major investment. They've just done common sense changes. They've not done expensive changes. So the thing that thank you for the likes, by the way. I can see them slowly going up. So what has happened with this business is they've taken the money for the Christmas sales on products that are often quite valuable, and they've said we can't pay, we can't meet our costs, we can't do it. Now, I just don't understand it, basically. I don't understand why they can get away with it, and it's such a shame for those people that work there, because there are I have to say, I think Maplin's, their staff are some of the absolute best in retail. They really are. I can't think of any member of staff at Maplin who hasn't been incredibly helpful, hasn't been incredibly polite. In my local branch, they recognise me. They always say hello. They ask me what I'm looking for. Occasionally, they say, "Oh," because they know I go in there looking for bargains. Thanks, George. Yeah, nice to see you, George. You're a new name. Appreciate you visiting. Yeah, they are amazing, and I've had I mean, like, the last year and a half in particular has been quite rough for me, and I don't live too far from a branch, and I quite often will go in and I just I've had days where I've just thought, oh, I'm a bit, particularly when I've been working at home or anything, and I think, oh, I'll go and have a look in Maplin and see if they've got anything worth. And I wander around. I walk in and they go, "Oh, hello there. Are you looking for anything?" I say, "Just gonna have a browse, have a look and see if you've got any bargains." And I have a look around and I come back, and I'll often have a chat with them about some of the stuff they're selling, and they'll be quite happy to have a little chat with me. And and if if you're not having the best of times, sometimes it is nice. And the thing is, I think they realise in there that a lot of people that turn up and start looking in are a bit nerdy. They're interested in gadgets, and somewhere they've just got nowhere to go. Some people, they are literally like, "Oh, I'm looking forward to talk to them." George, yeah, I'd love to go to Maplin, browse and talk about the latest technology. Yeah, it's going to be a real pity when they go, because I think a lot of those guys. Well, I went in there today, and I was actually quite angry. When I went in, I said, because I only read about this yesterday. I mean, I walk past it every day, and I think the closing down signs have only gone up there in the last couple of days. But I walked in and I said, "I'm very sorry about the situation," and they said, "Oh, well, thank you." And then I was like, "No, I said, it annoys me. It really annoys me that this is still happening to companies, because this is a viable company." I mean, they carry the stock they have in the company, and this is the other thing. So I walked around the shop today, and they're not going to be anywhere else like them, which is a real shame, because yeah, it's a pity, George. It really is. It is a pity, and they've done really well at catering so that you can go out of your front door, go in and pick up components, which you can't do anywhere else. And maybe it was only a matter of time before we lost that privilege, and I can't ever see anyone coming in to replace these guys. I can't see it happening, but yeah. So I walked around that store, and is that a bottle of water? Yes, it is. I'm going to drink a bottle of water on camera, and I'm going to try not to gulp too much. Bear with me. I know it's bad form. Yes, George, I did mention at the start of the stream, Tandies, which was probably the nearest similar store, and Tandies was a good store. I didn't buy a huge amount in there. I did have a Radio Shack robot that I think my auntie Margaret bought for me. She worked on POB. She bought with I got a few things. I think they went in there looking for technological things for me when I was a little kid. That might have been my great nan that got me that, actually. Yeah, Tandy's was quite good. I've got a power adapter from around there somewhere. I think I bought that when they were closing down. Yeah, those guys, a lot of those guys could be S1 engineers, I guess, really. And I'm hoping the guys in my store find somewhere to work nearby. But I I walked around the store, and I've probably been in that store because I'll have a look around, and I've been sort of watching the sales, and I bought a couple of things from there, I think, recently. What a lot of people don't realise is with their cables, if you buy a cable in Maplin and you buy it off the shelf, it will cost you £30, £40, £50. If you go onto their online store and you look at the list, all of a sudden there's all these other products which were all these other cables which were much cheaper. So for example, you could get an HDMI cable for I bought one for about £2, and I tell you what else I bought from them, same place, same order. I bought a, have I got it here? Oh, I've just about got it in reach. Hang on, bear with me. I'm pretty sure I got this from Maplin. So this is a lightning to VGA adapter that I use on my Mac Mini, which I had to buy, which you may see on another stream of mine or another thread of mine. I had to buy my Mac Mini from Apple when I worked for Apple. Unbelievable. 30 meters of 3.5mm auxiliary cable, £2.50. Well, in the Watford store, they had a few months ago, they had God, I think it was something like a 30-meter reel of speaker cable. It wasn't great speaker cable, but it wasn't horrific, and it was about a tenner or something. I sort of should have bought that just for decent copper wire, you know, half decent copper wire, even if it was that. But this you can see I never take these bloody plastic thingies off. They're always curling off the thing. This thing, I think it was about £2. Whereas if you went in there and you bought like their standard, you know, their Maplin branded adapter, well, it's the same thing more or less, and it was, you know, £40 or something, ridiculous. Well, I just did the click and collect. You go there a couple of days later and they've got it there waiting for you, you know. And same with the HDMI cable I bought from there. It was about £1, I think, or £2, you know. I was a little bit, it was a bit of a strange arrangement, that. But anyway, as I say, I walked around the store, and I've been in that store probably 10 times since the beginning of last December. Very often go in there, and they know my face, and I'll have a chat with them. And I know what things cost in there, because there's a few things. I was looking for toys for kids and stuff in there. And so, for example, they had this voice changer thing in there, which has been in there since Christmas, at £4.99. So they'd obviously bought a ton of these things and they weren't selling. So they got there at £4.99, marked on clearance. I went into that shop today. They've got everything marked up 10% off minimum. 10% off minimum. Some things are 25, a few things are 30% off. I think cables might be 30%, but it's not really a saving. So, because you're paying well over the odds for these things. But they had this voice changer thing. So I looked. This voice changer is now priced at £6.99. This is a I'm out of focus. Whoop. This voice changing toy is £6.99. This is something that 2 months ago they were selling for £4.99. Now they may have at one point may have had it priced 10% above £6.99, but I just thought it was strange. And when I looked at a few other things, I thought, I'm pretty sure the price has gone up on that. So for example, good example is a few places before Christmas had the cinema sign things. They're about this big, and they've got plastic letters that cut out and you slide them in. And I think Maplin at one point they were going for like £20 or something. At one point they put them down to 10. Well, now with the saving, they're selling them for £15. And the long thin ones, which had gone down I think to £10 at one point, they're now selling them for £24.99. So how can you be in a position where you've got stock that you need to get shot of because you need to pay your creditors, and you're at the stage where you're in administration and you're taking stock that you had already reduced and wasn't selling when it was reduced before Christmas? Before Christmas you weren't selling the volumes of stock, and now you've adjusted the pricing up. Another great example I noticed, they have had, in my local branch, they have had on the bottom shelf as you walk in the door, this Rudolph the reindeer inflatable device with the pump, and at one point it went to £4.99, and I was looking at it and I was thinking, £4.99, that the pump and everything in there. So it's got like a, when I say a pump, it's like a blower. It just constantly, but it uses a ton of electricity. It's unbelievable, but it just constantly blows air into this thing. And it's one of these things, and it was £4.99. Now it's £9.99. Who is going to sell? Who is going to sell at £9.99 this at this time of year? Who's going to sell it if it didn't sell at £4.99 when it was on at that price for a month and a half? It sat on that shelf and has not moved. And I suspect what is happening is that they are, at least in some of the stores, because I know the Watford store, I always seem to see different pricing in there. I think they were perfectly capable of paying these. I suspect perfectly capable of paying their way. What's happened is, I suspect, and this is not an allegation, it's just what I just, it's a theory that the owners, the people that held the purse strings, cashed out the money, found ways to spend it, found ways to make it look like they could not afford to keep the business going, and they started to work on the principle that they know, because it's become a trend, that if a store is in administration, the first thing that happens is the level of trade goes up. They know that if they say the store is in administration and they say there's at least 10% off products, you will get a volume of a high volume of trade, and you will get a good payout. You will do brisk trade, you'll get a good whack of money come through, and this is an amount of money that you're only going to have to pay proportionally to your people. Because, alright, in theory what you can then do is say, well look, the stuff's not selling, we can no longer afford to run the store, you know, we're doing a bit of business but we're not selling a lot of lines. For example, the hard disks have got 10% off, but if you've taken up the prices 10% just before you take the 10% off, or in some cases it seems like 20%, then how are you going to sell the products? So I think they'll sell through a little bit initially. They'll sell it. They might be able to get rid of some problem lines that don't have any value and still make a markup on them. I mean, a great example of the Star Wars watches. They had all these Star Wars watches which were going for, they'd gone lower, and in the end they were £1.99. Now, BB-8 Star Wars watch is £4.99. It wasn't selling at £1.99. How's it going to sell at £4.99? But yeah, what I think they're going to do is keep doing this. There'll be a week or so, and then they'll say, well, we don't have the capital to run the business anymore. We can't pay the staff. We can't guarantee we're going to pay the staff. So we want to shut down all the stores today. Then there is going to be a huge amount of stock, because one thing they're definitely not going to do is all the memory and all the rest of it. That ain't going to sell off. They've got loads of legacy memory and everything. That's all a huge amount of money in that. And this is what happens. Then the preordained people are going to sweep in and say, right, here we are to save the day. We are going to buy the store am I moving this? Yeah, if I move it more that way, I end up more. We're going to buy all of the inventory of the stores, all the assets, and they'll get it for a song, and they'll make an absolute fortune on it. There'll be discs and everything, because I cannot see those discs going. If the discs go down to say 30%, yeah, they might sell them. They might sell them off. But if they keep them at 10%, and while I was there, just to put this in perspective, while I was there, they were removing 20% off the network devices and putting up 10% signs. So they were actually, as I was there, and I could see them taking out labels and putting new pricing on things. Now those poor guys, and I got to tell you, those guys working in that store there, and I seem to be seeing, if I look at Maplin in general and things on what I'm hearing is that those guys are remaining completely professional, and even though, excuse me scratching my nose, even though they are going to lose their jobs, almost definitely, there's very little chance of a reprieve. It looks like the administrators have decided that they're going to close. In spite of all of that, they are still working very professionally, and I don't think, and honestly, I don't think it's even entered into their heads that they're, you know, they're looking at the stock there and thinking, well, hang on a minute, a few of them discs could be my rent for the next month. I don't think they're thinking that. That hasn't entered into their heads. They're too flipping honest, and I am really sorry for those people. Short story, I'm really sorry. I think it is time that something was done to protect our retailers from these predatory investors that milk the company for a few years, take the profits, then wait for the right time to just cash in. You know, build up the credit ratings, build up the trust, and then they just exploit it, and just and the suppliers get hurt. The suppliers will never get all their money back, and some of those suppliers will be small companies, and that will hurt them. I don't know. And the protection, I mean, I own a limited company, and I think it is about time that we change the way limited companies work. We have to change what happens to the people involved in these companies when they go wrong and when they owe money. And personally, I would take away the protection of limited liability. I would make it so that there is personal liability. You know, companies no longer become limited. For those who are not aware, limited liability is the concept whereby if you are a sole trader and you work for yourself and your business goes wrong, you can recover the debts from yourself personally. So if you were say a carpet fitter and you fitted, you know, 50 carpets a year, and you didn't pay your carpet suppliers, you know, and they wanted 50 carpets worth of money, well, they could take that money, they could take you to court, and they could seize your personal possessions, they could take your house, they can do whatever is necessary in order to recover the monies. With a limited company, you can't get the owners of that company. They are, to some degree, immune from you recovering from them personally, and I just think it's wrong. It's just wrong. And I think the banks are implicated in a lot of this kind of thing, and because of that, we have lost a few retailers, and Maplin is going to be a real nasty one to lose, because not only were the staff really good, I think yet to ever meet a bad member of staff in Maplin, and you can't say that about many companies. Not only were they really good, they were really polite, really knowledgeable, very helpful, very understanding, very kind towards people that of a more that might find it, because I'm sure some people that go into that shop don't have much social interaction at all, and it might be their only first person interaction. Um, they'd come in, they're always very polite to them, and they're always very friendly and very understanding. And I just think, and actually they often recruited people that I think had a bit have some problems, not problems, find it more challenging to interact with people in the world in general. And I think they were really, really kind to them and good. Um, and it's just not fair. It's just not fair, you know, that that company had worked really hard. You could tell they'd really done a lot of work. There were still other things they could have done. I think they could have done with a change of marketing directors and managers just to sharpen it up a bit more. I think they'd come really far, but what can you do if you're doing everything right? If you're making money in this market, which they were, and you know, the people that buy you are ultimately, they've got a sort of 3-4 year plan where they're going to force the company into administration. What can you do? And that kind of intent is what we need protection from, because limited companies do not give protection from predatory investors looking to exploit the system, looking to cheat suppliers, and looking to who don't care about the average people that are working for them. And to hurt those people that are knowledgeable, they're not ordinary retail staff, and that people will say, well, you know, there's any manner of areas of retail where they don't have ordinary staff, but what other areas of retail do you need that much expertise in a range of products, you know? They weren't always spectacularly knowledgeable in electronics, although some were. But yeah, I'm really, really annoyed about it. I'm really annoyed because Maplin was probably one of the last real quality retailers. I have a feeling a few more going to go that I don't think they can make viable, or difficult to make viable. I noticed Theo Prophetis tweeted about Maplin and said what a shame it was. I don't know if he's ever had an involvement in that company, but I've been in one of his stores recently, and I looked around and I thought, I wonder how long that's got to last. I actually bought a printer from him a few weeks ago, which is a good printer actually. I should have done a review of it. I don't know why I haven't done a review of it. I didn't do an unboxing video or anything. I was a bit stressed when I got it because I needed to print off some forms, so I'll probably have to come back to that. Because that would have been good to do an unboxing video on, because there's all kinds of things that come out, and I made a mess of it, and maybe I was a bit wound up that day. I wasn't aware again until yesterday about Toys R Us. Now, I was in Toys R Us in Nottingham. We've got a very small one in the Victoria Centre. Crazy to do that, I think. I know why they've done it, because they wanted a presence in these places, but the rent that you pay on that shop, you're never ever gonna. And this is for those who haven't worked in retail, might not realise. High street shops in certain areas, you can get really, really good rents if they're off the beaten track. So, like I said, the Nottingham Maplin, the central Nottingham Maplin, is in a store with a really small rent, and they just want it occupied. The business next to it was vacant for years. There's been 1 or 2 problems in the immediate area that make it quite hard for people to get licenses for pubs and stuff like that, or clubs and stuff. It's really hard to get a license on that particular area. So they had a good rent there. then when you get towards the centre of most towns or cities, the rents can get a bit higher. But the shopping centres, the rents are absolutely horrendous. And that's part of the reason why there's so many businesses, so many retail places have just gone to the wall. Or they people give up. The point where let me put it this way, the point where they jump off, I think, is where they say, right, well, we're going to do this Christmas and then we're not going to pay anyone, is what I think happens. One of the reasons is because of these ridiculous rents, and I mean, that isn't anything that's new. I worked in a branch of a popular card shop, but which was quite a big company, and it went bust about 12 years ago now, I think. And that company had terminal problems for a long time. And I went and I worked for them for about on and off for about 4 or 5 years. And in those stores, we were, well, I think the rent was something like, it was something like £225,000 a year on a very small stock room. Now, that company would generally, on a weekday, do about £1,000 a day in trade. So, on a good weekday as well, you tended to do most of your trade in the year towards Christmas. So towards Christmas, you'd probably be doing £10,000 a day, but that's turnover. That isn't profit. So you're probably paying out rent, say, to your staff. You're probably paying maybe 150 quid a day on a weekday. So if you take it on an average weekday, you're taking 150 quid. You're paying 150 quid to your staff. Then you're probably paying, see, 225,000 a year. You're probably paying what, about is that £400 a day rent? About £400 a day, I think. Maybe more or less. Anyone's got to calculate. It's a lot. It worked out. I remember working, and I was saying, I don't know why they're employing us. I don't know why they're employing us. It makes no sense, because how can we be making money? And people go, "Oh, these cars are quite expensive." And I was thinking, it ain't expensive enough really to cover this business, because you're having to, when you're paying out these rents, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And everybody in that company was stressed. Everybody was stressed. People would come around and they would all be stressed. I was there 1 week and I got promoted from, I was like a new starter, and I got promoted to supervisor because they looked at me and I said, "Oh, we could do this and that." I caught a shoplifter before I even started. He was trying to, just as the Phantom Menace came out, and he just took these 2 arms of stock, went like that, and I was just waiting by the door, waiting to be let in. And I went, huh. Walked across and he looked at me and went, and then he dropped the lot and ran off. Excuse me, scratching my nose. I've got to itch my nose right on the end of my nose. I'm just gonna shift off camera slightly here and just have a good itchy. Oh. Excuse me. Anyway, that you know, how does that make sense? You can't trade like that. And I hate shopping centres. I think they've destroyed retail. They have absolutely hammered retail. They split the town in two. They always create a problem on one side, the side where nothing's happening. Into companies like Into, they've just been bought out. They are poison, absolute poison. Still itchy nose. We've got one in Nottingham. We've got two Into centres, and they've just been bought out by another company. And anyone that knows Nottingham will know that one of the two, the Broadmast Centre, has been dying a slow death for years, encouraged by Nottingham City Council. This is a very interesting story for those who are not bored by such things. But anyway, basically that one centre has just got, like, now it's down to about 2 shops, maybe 3, one major chain, Wilkinson's, who's just refurbished the store there, but they just continually drag. About 7 years this refurbishment's gone on. Oh, there was going to be Harvey Nicks and all this stuff. Oh, and every time there's a change of ownership, there's a big worry about, oh, is anything going to happen here? Anyway, that's all another story. It's another story. I'm losing track here. Yeah, so to get back to Toys R Us, I went in there about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Actually, yeah, probably 3 or 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, looking for toys for a present for a relative, and I went looking around there. I should say, toys for a friend, family friend, and I just looked at most of the stuff and thought, it's rubbish. And the Star Wars stuff, I don't know if I've had the conversation on here before. The Star Wars toys are awful. They are awful, cheap, rubbish. But they weren't even really stocking much of it. I mean, what they had, I mean, they still had Force Awakens stuff and Rogue One that they were trying to get rid of, and the discounting and everything. I mean, it's hugely overpriced, all that Star Wars stuff, and it's trash. It is trash. They didn't really have any vehicles or anything in that particular store. I know at the big store, I was there last summer, and they had loads of the vehicles. They weren't selling. They got the Millennium Falcons, which were stupid money even when they were massively discounted, and they're rubbish. You know, the original Millennium Falcon was a great toy. You picked it up and it was all molded everywhere. The new one, you pick it up, it's all hollowed out on the inside. It's awful plastic that falls to bits. Got a stupid gun on the front that doesn't do anything. Rubbish toys. And really the only quality toys they had in there was the Lego stuff. 1 or 2 other things, you know, like swing ball set, which some sort of reasonable stuff. And I went in there today, and I just, again, I mean, like, the pricing was ridiculous. These things are, if theoretically they've got money knocked off. I saw one Lego set where I thought, ooh, I might. It's still a bit pricey, but I might go for that. Which was a little, I don't know, this Ninjago Lego stuff. I don't know about that. I don't know what it is. It's some brand. I don't like all these different brands that Lego do. All these fantasy world things they do, I don't like them. But it just caught my eye because they had a little guy. It had like a guy with a the set was originally, I think, $14.99, which was extortion, and it's gone down to $11.99, and at the minute it's 10% off. Now, if they go to 20% off on that Lego, it will all just fly off the shelves. So I'm thinking I might hover around. Again, no, the staff in that shop, 100% enthusiastic, smiles still on their faces. I don't know whether they're just daft or what, but they really good. You know, I really felt sorry for them. The store was busy, nobody really buying much. But yeah, this set had a little guy with a little hat and a Chinesey sort of thing, and I thought, oh, and I might go for that. I might get one of them. But it was, I think with the discount, it was like £8.99 or something, £9.50, and I thought, would I buy that for £9.50? No. And they are relying on people, just anything that says discount 10% off, they think it's a bargain. Gotta get some bargains. Gotta get some bargains. And they'll, you know, fight for it. But I don't think people have fallen for it this time. I'm sorry, I'm scratching my nose again. It's very itchy. I don't think people are falling for it this time around. But that's pretty much all they had that was of any value, and toys in general are rubbish. But I'm going to bring this back to technology. I think the writing has been on the wall for all the toy shops for a while, because kids are not so interested in toys. It's the sad truth. Do you know what? I'm just thinking now, I should probably go to the big Toys R Us in Nottingham, because they've probably got some Scalextrics and train sets there, and I wonder if they'd be on the 30%. If they were on the 30%, I might have a sniff if it was a genuine 30%. Excuse me, scratching my nose again. If it was a genuine 30%, it might be worth a little walk down there. Maybe get the bus. Because I did want a new train set. Don't know. One thing I think they'll struggle to sell is the Star Wars stuff. I mean, I noticed in the small one they had got shot of some real rubbish. The Constable Zuvio had gone. Constable Zuvio is a very, very interesting story. Hasbro, who now make the Star Wars toys, who actually bought Kenner, who made the original toys when they were good, from the original run of the film. They made absolutely tons of this Constable Zuvio character, which I think, is it Rogue One? It was either Rogue One or the Force. I think it might be Rogue One. They make tons of these Constable Zuvio things, and it got cut from the film. It got cut from the film. So everywhere you go. Oh, and I tell you what, they didn't have many Rose Ticos. Because when I went in there the other day, they had absolutely tons of Rose Ticos. And they were all gone as well. I wonder if they've been boxed up and sent off. I can't believe, unless they went £1 or something. Because Rose Tico, there's tons of them. Nobody wants to buy those from the Force. The new one, the Last Jedi. But it's bleak. It's really bleak in terms of retail. I think we're heading towards a time when we can no longer go to the shops, pick something up, and say, "Oh, that's what I want." I mean, I like to look at something, see how it's put together. The number of times I buy things from Amazon, they arrive, I take them out of the package, and the box is all bashed in, and I say, well, I don't want that one. I open it up, and the product might be alright, and I say, oh, I don't want it. If the box is bashed in, you know, particularly if you're buying something with magnetic media, which I don't really do from Argos, but I mean, I don't want it if the box is bashed in, it's been walloped, it's been dropped. I don't like doing that. If I go to a shop, I'm one of these annoying people that will go, oh yeah, I want one of those. I'll take the one behind the one that's at the front. And some people will say, well, that's ridiculous. Why would you do that? And there is a very good common sense reason for it. It's because the one at the front is the one when people walk past, all the bits of crap and, you know, all the rat hairs and everything, they're the ones that get stuck to that one at the front. The one behind it is the nice clean one, which is protected by the dirty one in front. I take that one, I go, thank you very much. That's the one I take home. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Yeah, it's sad. It's very sad. I feel so. I've never worked for a retailer when they've gone under, but there isn't. I can't think. I mean, I think Wilkinson's is safe. They're always doing a rip-roaring trade. And their products are well priced. I think they've got a decent margin on them so they can sustain themselves. I think Poundland is probably, and Pound World are probably okay. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a shock there to come in the near future. Because they're starting to branch into the slightly more expensive lines. Which is necessary, it was always on the cards. Because a pound's only worth £1 for so long. Pound ain't worth as much as it was when they started off. But there could be a shock there. There could be a shock there. I did the review the other day of the Pound World VR goggles, which I actually think have given me a bit of eye strain. It takes a couple of days for eye strain to show with me. I've barely used the thing, so I might have to revise my review of those. But then I do get eye strain, so, and I think everybody knows you get eye strain off those things. So I don't know. There will be other places. I'd say I'm not too sure about Ryman's. WH Smith's has been sort of clinging to the toilet bowl for a while. I think Boots is probably okay. Their head office is not far from me. And yeah, I think it's a sad old situation. I've got to be honest. Got to be honest. But I wanted to have a good old rant about it, and I think I have. You know, there's been a few people who have sat there for, you know, I've done over an hour now on this. I haven't done anything entertaining. I've not played any games. I think Twitch still says I'm playing Hardball 2, which I can't get to. I can't get it to get off of Hardball 2. It's been stuck on that for ages, but I don't think we've got anybody watching on Twitch. So I could be wrong. If you're watching on Twitch or Periscope, because I am broadcasting on Periscope, I think it's very different. This version of OBS. I'm not sure whether I'm going to stick with it or not. And I mean, this thing here. This gadget here, this thing, oh no, I've moved my screen, that's not what I wanted to do. I was trying to select this thing here. That thing, in theory, there's certain actions, so let me just push a button here. Right, so say I get a new subscriber, and I'll push that. Right, have I messed up? Yeah, I've got a little walking cat there, and it says that somebody new has subscribed, and then this thing happens. Now that's going slower now. That's going slower. That isn't supposed to go that slow. Well, there we go. I've learnt something that isn't working properly. So that might have just pushed me over the edge. I don't like this thing anyway. This is a gimmick. Let me just try that again. Have a look at the CPU speed. Okay, that's weird because the CPU isn't under that much load. But when... Okay. That is strange. Okay, well I suppose I was going to do a bit of testing, so I might as well do that test. So... No, I'm going at full whack here. Okay. Create a channel to join the chat. Oh, I probably shouldn't have clicked that. Yeah, so I'll next time I'm on, I'm going to get rid of that thing, I believe. Now, I don't know how many of you out there watching have ever watched me before. I do have a habit. Do you know what? I got the mickey taken out of me last week because it was about the same time last week that I just thought, oh, recorded a video, and then I thought, if I put this video out, it's going to be a little bit controversial. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to put it out, but I thought, well, I wanted to do a video, so I just went, oh, I'll just hit the live button and I'll just come up with something. So I hit the live button. Excuse me scratching my nose again, it's driving me. I hit the button to go live, and I went live, and I didn't really have anything to say, so I just wanged it. I winged it for I think it was on for about 2.5 hours, and in the end I was reading the script to Predator, the first Predator film, and I did that for about, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour, but I was talking just utter gibberish. Didn't play any Amiga stuff or anything. Well, you know what, this channel is in theory about Amiga stuff, but it isn't really, because I just go meandering off onto loads of stuff about all different things. So if you've never watched before, I can see I've picked up a couple of new subscribers, because this thing, which I am going to keep, is just here. Please feel free to subscribe, and if you like this, or disliked, because I've got a dislike button as well which you can use, yeah, if you hit that, you'll see it actually go up live on the screen. It's very clever. Is that fingernail getting long or what? It's very clever. You just press that like button and it goes up, and you hit the subscribe and the subscribers go up. Yeah, so I guess that's me tonight. I've had a good rant there. I feel, you know, a bit better. And it's good when you do that, because then you've just made an hour of stuff. You know, I know nobody's going to watch. You people out there, you discerning people of good sound mind who have sat there and listened to me rant of your own free will. We've filtered the entire planet, and we have found the 3 people who this was the ideal for at this moment. It was just what they needed to hear. They needed to hear what was going to come out of my mind. It went out of my mind through my mouth into the air, into these little... I've set that out of focus now. Into the little microphone here. Are you going to focus? Focus. Hocus pocus. It went into there, up the wire, and then out of your speakers. It was perfect. It was where, you know, the whole thing came together. We've had George make some very good comments. He too is going to lament the end of Maplin. God, it really does bother me. We're never going to have a shop like that again, and it's extremely convenient for me where my one is. Extremely convenient. I do a lot of browsing in there. I've spent, I'd say I probably spent £1.5 grand in there over the last 10 years. Steady stream of purchases, I would say. I mean, I bought, I can remember buying a PC case, odd PC. I mean, I bought a load of odds and bits and bobs. In fact, I was going to make a video about the bits and bobs I picked up in there the other day. I got, you know, some spacers and some fans and you know, all kind of computer fans, that is, and I bought something else that I said, oh, that'll be useful, and I got it. I'll probably never be useful in a build or something if I ever build a computer again. It's sad. It's very sad. No BTs anymore. Toys R Us is gone. In fact, Toys R Us is the last place I think that stocks Scalextrics and train sets on the in the big stores, because I don't really think they do them in the Entertainer. Entertainer went from Watford a little while ago, and I thought they were going to shut up shop altogether. Smiths might do. No, I don't think Smiths do Scalextric. Hornby's still with us? I hope they still are. Might be because Hornby have had a few bad years. Hornby are another nice company. I called them, I think I emailed them a few years ago, because I wanted some. They did new bridge parts for their Scalextrics, micro Scalextrics, which are much better than ones I've got. And I said, "Can I have some, please? How much would it cost me?" And it cost me a tenner for 30 of them, which I'm not entirely sure they should have. But he said, "Yeah, well, I'll sell these. Well, I'll get you some of the parts. Yeah, how much you want?" I said, "Can I have 30?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "How much?" He went, "Oh." I said, "How about a tenner?" He went, "Yeah, a tenner." So I had to call up, and I can't remember how I did the payment. Now I phoned, probably by card, and they sent me. Companies like that, the outlets are disappearing. We've got, not too far from me, we've got GD Models, which is a shop that's been around for years, and the guy that owns it is selling up. He owned it, he ran it, and I think he retired about 20 years ago. And the guy that he had take it over for him is retiring as well now, so he's been trying to sell it, and I don't know whether he successfully sold it. In fact, let's have a look. GD Models. I hope he has, because if he hasn't sold it, if they're closing down or anything like that, I might cry. Okay, let's see. Ooh. I can't see any. Oh, maybe it did get bought out. I can't see any. There's no indication that they're about to go. Let's see, latest news. Yeah, oh, that's good. I hope they're still with us. I'll have to go. Oh, hang on. No. No, it's still up for sale. Well, look, if you've got some money and you want to invest in a decent business, GD Models, mate. It's on Heathcote Street. If you come through Nottingham, I tell you what, if you ever come through Nottingham, check that they're still open. They're trying to sell the business. It's a going concern. But if you ever come through Nottingham, this is an endorsement from me. Go to GD Models, because if you've ever loved modelling shops, if you miss that kind of thing, if you know, shops where you can buy balsa wood, all the components from remote control cars, all the train sets and stuff, it's a wonderful shop. A wonderful shop. I don't go in there often enough. I've only bought a few little things in there before, but they have got, you know, Airfix models. Oh, it's an absolute. You don't get these places anymore. I mean, I think you only really get them around the Midlands. I know they had one. They had a model shop in Coventry, but GD Models I think is the best one around in Nottingham, Heathcote Street in the Lace Market. Well, viewers, I am really flattered that you've joined me this evening for this extended rant. It's been very nice. I'm probably going to do a live stream tomorrow night where I'll probably do some daft game that I can't figure out or get to work properly. Oh well, I've got an alert here. What does that mean? New notification. Skipped frames detected a minute ago. Oh, sorry. Maybe when I... Okay, that's interesting. So when I went like this, and I went like this, and I went like that, did I get skipped frames? Okay, I'll have to review that. Doesn't bode very well for if I use WinUAE this tomorrow. But, as I say, viewers, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate that. It's very nice to know that there's someone out there ready to listen to my complete and utter gibberish rants. I hope all your jobs are safe if you're working. If you're not working, I hope you got enough to get by. Lovely having you join me this evening, and please check out my other videos. If you get withdrawal when I go and you're not hearing me rant anymore, feel free to check out my other videos. Let me know if there's anything in particular you'd like me to cover. I've got a couple of videos in mind that I want to make very soon. One I'm going to do in the next couple of weeks, I think, if I can get the necessary hardware to work. And yeah, I've got a few other. I've got another one to upload soon, and I'll just keep making videos. But thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you all next time. Until then, take care. I'm going to hit this big red end stream button.